We live. Ooh, hopefully no glitches. Do a little audio check. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Jeez Louise. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. It's always something, yo. Always something. It's always something. So quite a bit to talk about. And I do want to do calls, but there is every time I'm thinking it's just going to be calls, like a little bit of information and calls, things just stack up and stack up and stack up. And it's like, holy crap, I could easily do 2 hours plus just talking and going over videos, but we're going to, I got to fix this too. We're going to cover quite a bit and we're still going to do calls. I have time. Also, after this live stream is done, I have a video to premiere for you guys, which is pretty interesting as well. So we'll be doing this stream, going over information and calls, and then we'll also do another video after this stream. Let me just make sure the glitch is not going on my channel where it's like 2 streams at once. Okay, amazing. And we're going to talk about Jeremy too. We're going to get into Jeremy. A lot of the stuff that's going on. There's more replies online as well. He was supposed to be doing another interview today. There's a lot of stuff going on. So let's start off over here. Again, thank you so much for stopping in. Please hit the like button, subscribe, turn on bell notifications. Check out the iCkEdMeL sponsor for the channel as well. I'll pin that in a second when I have a chance, when I get to a video. $500 giveaway at the end of December. And so it says here by Chanley, investigators will be collecting these 5 vehicles that have been parked out front of the Idaho student's home since November 13. Police spokesperson would not confirm which car belonged to which victim or roommate. And there was just a recent update. The vehicles outside of the place. Brian Enton, just a couple minutes ago, actually. Police are now starting to tow the cars away from the Moscow, Idaho murder scene. Police tell me the victims' cars will all be taken to a secure location and kept for evidence. Check this out here. Yeah, right. And if you guys go, What's up? Welcome. Yep, absolutely. That's that. So there are things going on at the scene. Now, Jeremy, I wanted to start off with this first. This interview, which Sylvia will help me find. He actually found a clip on a YouTube channel, and then I was kind of digging further. I'll play this, and then I'll play the new one, and then some of the new comments.
Are in shock tonight. 4 university students in Moscow, Idaho are dead, and there are more questions than answers coming from police. This is a picture of the 4 University of Idaho students together, posted on Instagram sometime Saturday. Madison Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves grew up in Coeur d'Alene. Xana Kernodle grew up in Post Falls. Ethan Chapin was from Mount Vernon, Washington. Thank you for joining us on this emotional night. I'm Kirsten O'Connor.
And I'm Aaron Luna. Students at the University of Idaho are reeling. Parents are stunned and picking up their children and taking them home.
Rumors are rampant about how these students died. There's still potentially a killer out there, and the Moscow Police Department is saying very little tonight. 4 News Now has in-depth coverage on this tragedy. We start with our Esther Bauer live in Moscow.
Well, I'm here just off King Road, where a community is shaken to its core. Here at this home behind me, police have been going in and out all day. Questions are now mounting at this crime scene, and police are giving no answers.
All of a sudden this happened.
The unthinkable. 4 students found dead on Sunday right next to the University of Idaho. Neighbors are still in shock, now taking new measures to protect themselves.
Now carry a weapon on me. I used to do that before I moved up to Moscow. Moved to Moscow, thought it was super safe, stopped, and then this happened, and so at least if and until they find who did it, I'm going to continue carrying a weapon on me again.
Police.
And that's Jeremy. That's, if you haven't seen that video, you should definitely check it out. It was Jeremy kind of snapping. I did a video late last night, and so it's been out since yesterday and all morning and afternoon. And we're going to get into some of the new comments that he's made on Reddit as well, because people are still coming for Jeremy. People still suspect him or whatever it is they feel. And he's done, I don't know how many interviews. I think 4, maybe 5. I'm not sure.
Searched the area inside and outside 1122 Queen Road on Monday. Law enforcement is still looking for evidence and a suspect. Releasing little information has those in the area asking questions.
Until we have the details of sort of what caused the police to think it was a homicide, then I'm still not entirely sure about it.
Classes are canceled.
And he was snapping on the psychics. He was snapping on the psychics, the people that are giving their visions and their, their whatever it is they do on their thoughts on who the killer is or where he's at and blah, blah, blah. So he snapped on the psychics. It seemed like he was talking to some people in particular. I don't know who. He named psychic number 1 and 2.
And
I'm going to show you the other video in a second.
Memorial is now growing at the university entrance.
There's been smaller scale tragedies that have happened over the years since I've been here, but this is something completely different.
Frank Chen also lives nearby, a recent U of I graduate with a new outlook on life through these tragic deaths.
Like, make sure to just kind of live your life as much as you can, because you never really know how much of your time you have left.
As days pass, the investigation is intensifying to find a killer with 4 students dead. And we keep hearing from viewers about why there are so few answers as of now on a cause of death and a possible suspect still on the loose. We asked police for that information.
That was that one. And we have, I'm going to play this one real quick too, in case I retweeted this yesterday, but he was on Coeur TV. And I think this was like yesterday evening that this came out. That's Jeremy again. Oh, I got the bump.
Yeah, apparently I'm famous on the internet now for something that I didn't do. About people just
really low,
basically comparing me to Daniel or Stephen McDaniels, and then just going through all of my social media history.
The whole Stephen McDaniel thing, though, like, it was kind of funny. I mean, it's not, it's not cool. I mean, sure, it's not fun for him or whatever being compared to a killer, but if you've seen the whole story behind this, and this guy was on the news, and he starts to like freak out once they tell him what body was found, and the whole interrogation. And so it came up in the live chat, one of my live streams. I almost wonder if he was watching, or I don't know if he saw that conversation somewhere else. And so, but he's talking here about the comparison to Stephen McDaniel and him.
Fighting post from a decade ago. I'm just saying, oh, it must be him. Obviously, it's him. He's done interviews. Why else would he do these if he didn't do it? He wants to be close to the crime scene. I didn't do it. I have nothing to hide. I'm willing to give DNA, fingerprints, whatever they need. But yeah, it's just upsetting being compared to a murderer when I didn't do anything. I'm naturally an awkward person. Just my mannerisms, the way I talk. A lot of things have been online about, when he was talking, he went from present tense to past tense in the sentences. Partly.
And so this clip here, you can see too, while he's talking, this transitions that's going on, it's the different interviews that he's done.
Sentences, partly because everyone corrects themselves when they're talking. And so just my natural person, I'm a little bit socially awkward, so I might smile at points that I shouldn't. I might make weird hand movements when I shouldn't, stuff like that.
The internet, let me tell you something, these people, and I do feel bad for the guy, I can understand wanting to like defend yourself, but there's another interview too we're going to talk about towards the end of this live stream, the guy Joe VDOT, that people are just going to tear into your smile, your face, your eye, your eyebrow, your hands, your movements, your gestures, any kind of thing that you do is going to be something for these people, and so the more things that you do, it's just going to give these people more, both law students too, that's true, Cal. It's just going to give more of these people whatever.
People sort of keyed into that and said, oh, he's a weirdo, he must be this killer. And so it's just stuff like that. And so, plus I think it's the amount of interviews I've done, because I have a problem saying no. Because if it's not going to hurt me physically or financially, I might as well help someone.
Look at his. What's your alibi? His alibi.
I was home. I was asleep. I went to bed around 11:30ish that night, and so I didn't see or hear anything.
Did he know the victim?
I didn't know any of them. I had seen them just walking around when I would take my dog out. So I would recognize them, but I didn't actually know their names because I just don't stop and introduce myself to people. That's just, as I had mentioned in one of the other interviews, I usually carry a weapon on me now, whereas I didn't used to when I moved up to Moscow, just because it was such a safe community.
So that's Jeremy, right? And responding to all the, I guess, the attacks or people thinking it's him or whatever. Oh, and this was, I didn't realize too, they linked my video. I think this is my video from last night. Eagles, okay. But if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I'll put it in the description. But they linked me on Reddit, which was cool. And the other thing is, so I checked before the stream. I was like, let me see what Jeremy's been up to, right? In the Reddit forums, his Reddit account. And people are still, this was an hour ago. Have you noticed any police following you? Just curious, because I'm 100% convinced you're a suspect now. Not saying you did it. I'm just 1,000% convinced. Just, yeah. But I think they're looking into you. Crime Bay. And Jeremy replies 45 minutes ago, I haven't noticed anything. Even if they are watching me, they aren't going to find anything because I didn't do it. I'll also address your other question about the guy that had interviews keep happening. What? About the guy that had interviews keep happening so police could see if he changed his story. I'm not worried about my story changing because I don't have a story to change. Oh, shit. So I know you said you didn't notice anything, but I'm curious. Would you say there was any crime around the area? Not a murder, but a robbery or anything like that? Other than underage drinking and illegal drug use? Oh, Lord. Where they coming from? Marijuana is still illegal in Idaho. Not really. No crimes worth calling police for happened at least. Also, in your interview, you said something along the lines, until we have details as to what would cause the police to believe it was a homicide, which really made me scratch my head when I heard headlines and reports saying KGMMEC XK, which is Kaylee, Madison, Ethan, and Xana, were slaughtered along with the type of weapon used in the investigation being treated and labeled as a quadruple homicide. I bet my life it were a homicide. My question is, what makes you think it's not a homicide? And what possible information would you need to conclude were indeed a homicide? It were indeed a homicide. And since it is an interrogation room, I'll leave it at that. If you respond, thank you for your time. Long ass response. The statement was during the first interview I gave. That interview happened within a very small time frame after receiving the shelter in place order and the subsequent message stating that we were free to leave our homes, maybe 3 to 4 hours after the SIP order. At that point, we all knew At that point, all we knew was that police thought it was a quadruple homicide, but didn't have a suspect or believe the killer was a danger to the community, even though they were out among us. When I first read those messages, my first thoughts was maybe the 4 people were found dead and the police would rather begin investigating as a homicide and determine that it was accidental deaths than assume accidental deaths and find out it was a homicide later. And so I don't know. He's kind of engaging a lot, and I guess in talking with people. And my only thing is like, you get caught up in like answering to people and responding to they're never gonna stop. These people on the internet, But I just wanted to share that again with Jeremy. His interview. I don't know. He said yesterday he was gonna do another one. I don't know if he's doing another one today. He said some company. I don't remember the name. Let's see if I can see it here real quick. Or was it actually it was in this post right here. He was supposed to be on CNN tonight, but then it got canceled. And then he said, how about that I'll be interviewed by 2 women with Original Media Group. Would that suffice? And I don't know who that is, so I guess that's happening. We'll see. But at this point, because the thing is, he doesn't seem to have much information. Like he's a person in the neighborhood. He lived next door. He can give some insight as to the neighborhood, maybe what it was like over there. But besides that, it just doesn't seem like there's much else there. The other thing, and I don't even want to go down this crap here, honestly, because I just think it's so kind of like meh. But people keep asking about it, and somebody had sent a comment that I don't even really care about the comment, but they said, I'm not going to like any more videos unless you talk about this. So let's see if they actually show up and they're watching. I'm not going to deep dive this thing because I just think it's ridiculous, but people were talking about on the Google Trends /stalker situation. There was a whole thing where people were looking up, I think, was it the victims' names or something? Had it been searched on Google ever before the murders? And so whoever was searching it must have been the killers or some crap like that. And so this person here replied on Reddit and said, I work for Google, so I thought I'd pipe in here. There has been, oops, let me fix that. There has been a lot of talk about Google Trends showing queries for the victims before the murders. For context, some of the threads. I'm not even going to go into all this shit right now because I'm not going to go into all those threads. This is all well-intentioned, but what we're seeing is noise and doesn't mean anything. Google Trends shows relative query volume on a scale from 0 to 100, where 100 is the max activity for a location and date range. Some caveats. There's little to no spam protection, so we don't know if humans were behind the searches. It's a sampling example, 1% of traffic, so it's not representative of unusual queries. For example, it might show 0 when there have been queries, or 100 because it's been oversampled. It's unclear how it treats searches with combined terms. For example, Xana Kernodle, 112 Kings Road, Xana Kernodle, her sorority, Xana Kernodle. It might be attributed to one or another. So in summary, we don't know the baseline number, whether it's a person issuing a query or if the relative number is even accurate. Google Trends is built to understand, I don't even know what this is, ebbs and flows and interest for popular searches, not stuff like this. Xana Kernodle is a good example because it's such a unique name. Using the query Xana Kernodle 112 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, we can check traffic for the last 5 years. Xana wasn't even in Moscow in 2017, but we see huge spikes in queries around that time. Basically, it's just in an accurate way of look, you can see her name back here. So was the person stalking her for years and years and years and years and years or something? Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, people keep harping on this. I don't think there's that much to it. I will save the article, this reference here, if somebody wants it and they want to deep dive it or whatever, but I just don't see the relevance in going on through this and going on about this, whether her name was ever searched in the history of Google search history before the murders, Okay. So the next thing, let me see, is this the one? Yes, this is interesting right here. So this is Brian Enton with News Nation, and this little news clip, they talk about some of the weird reports that have happened recently in Moscow. I think it's recently.
Students are extremely on edge, as you can imagine. This house behind me where 4 students were murdered, it is still a crime scene. 2 weeks later, there is a killer on the run. Many students here chose not to come back to school. Those who did come back today said they are traveling in pairs. They're staying inside with the doors locked, and they will not go outside after dark. Classes are back in session at the University of Idaho, but it is noticeably quieter. Many students opting not to return to campus since the killer who stabbed students Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Goncalves is still on the run.
I feel like a lot of people are pretty apprehensive and everybody's...
Thank you. Because Zap the Great says ebbs and flow equals rises and falls, Mel. Thank you so much for that clarification.
Being very...
I don't think many people are looking into that particular aspect of the story, but I figure we'll just do a quick mention. I don't think there's much there, honestly, with that.
Just kind of like avoiding bars in like downtown areas and things like that, walking with a buddy and like that type of thing.
Local and state police have beefed up their presence on campus, and sorority houses have hired private security guards.
I personally won't go out at night alone right now, but I do feel like there is like increased police on campus.
Does it feel less busy on campus today?
Yeah, actually it does. It seems a little less people walking around, for sure.
It's unclear what neighbors near the house where the murders happened have told police, or if police have suspect information that they are not sharing with the public. Investigators acknowledge the sense of fear in the small community and say since the murders they've received 78 calls for unusual circumstances. Everything from a caller telling police her front door was wide open, another reporting someone shining a light into her window, a window tagged in red spray paint, men shadowboxing people, getting close and touching them in a bar, and a woman receiving a note saying she better watch out.
I don't know. There's a bunch of little. That town is so small, though. I mean, it seems like a pretty small town. So when you hear these reports, I'm like, I mean, I get it, but why aren't these people like shouldn't be putting up a poster or Jimmy Bob did this shit? Watch out, he's a weirdo, or like they can't catch the 5 people in that town that are doing this weird shit or whatever. Like they don't know who this is, or a PSA or whatever. Like how are these people just slipping through the cracks of a small ass town? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just being a little bit front door wide open, shining light in the window, which I think I read that report somewhere. Window tagged, men shadowboxing. Now, the men shadowboxing thing, is that just men being men in the club? Like some of the guys that can't control themselves?
Door was wide open, another reporting someone shining a light into her window, a window tagged in red.
Like 10 people over there. I wouldn't know who the fucking weird ass people are. Was all this weird, and what happened to the report of the supposed people that were being chased and stuff? Those girls that they got to their car and the guy was just sitting in the passenger seat. Everybody knows each other. How they don't know who that person is? They're all named Jack and whatever, Jack and John and whatever. I don't know.
Spray paint, men shadowboxing people, getting close and touching them in a bar, and a woman receiving a note saying she better watch out. It's been a little more than 2 weeks now since the murders. Parts of the timeline are still missing, but we know according to police that Kaylee and Madison were here the night before the killings at a bar called the Corner Club in Moscow. Investigators say they were here between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. The bartender inside the club told me workers were instructed only to talk to police. At 1:40 a.m., Kaylee and Madison were seen on surveillance video at the grub truck just down the street. Police say they used a private party for a ride back home, arriving back here at the house at about 1:56 a.m. Investigators say the other victims, Ethan and Xana, were seen here at the Sigma Chi fraternity. They returned back to the house around 1:45 a.m., the killings happening soon after. And now, more than 2 weeks later, so much fear and angst that an arrest has not been made.
It just could be anybody.
It could be anybody. It really could.
I mean, you know,
everybody
really knows somebody's cracked at one time or another.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's just so brutal, though. I mean,
yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's
very personal, too, I feel like.
Brian Enton. This was interesting too. I think this kind of goes to what the video clip that we just saw. But this was 911 call logs reveal sightings of blood stains, knives, and suspicious men in the town of Idaho student murders. All right, let me see if I can work through some of this article here. We understand there's a sense of fear within our community, said the Moscow Police Department on Sunday, revealing that it had received more calls about unusual circumstances. Who are these people in this town? And requests for welfare checks in the past 2 weeks and the entire month of October. And because the department releases daily public summaries of its 911 calls, we can get a sense of how the murders have affected the community of Moscow. Suspicious males with ski masks and knives. On Wednesday, 23rd November, just before 9 a.m., the owner of a laundromat in Moscow reported something alarming, a mark on a column inside that looks like blood. Though a police officer responded, they did not file any report. Weird. I don't know how much was it? Just a little spot? Was it like a long spot? A mark. What's a mark? What do you define a mark as? A laundromat. So that was November 23rd. Okay. It is just one of many potentially worrying but seemingly unconnected sights and sounds reported in the town since the murders. One person reported a suspicious vehicle in a parking lot, along with a person out digging in the dirt. Bro, everybody's a suspect in that town. Everybody's looking for everybody. Officers made contact with the person, yet filed no report. Another report said there was a person standing in a cul-de-sac wearing a big jacket and wearing a black ski mask. But it's cold out there. Officers were unable to locate them. A report on Sunday, 20th November, described a male on the side of the road carrying a knife in front of him stretched out. Officers made no report. Why are they not making reports? Is it because like it's turning out to be nothing, or like what's? Numerous 911 calls focused on suspicious men, suggesting Moscow residents are particularly alert to the possibility of a male perpetrator. That is hardly unreasonable given the overwhelming evidence that men are more likely to commit violent crimes than women. A caller on Sunday night, the same day the murders became public, reported a male standing near a bike rack who looked like he was trying to hide. Over the next 2 weeks, citizens reported a male outside taking photos of the upper floors, a male acting strange and throwing things into a dumpster, a suspicious male on the University of Idaho campus, a male wandering around the area. All men are just on high alert over there. Who was there several days ago too. A male at a dog park asking strange questions. A strange male saying suspicious things and more. Bruh, it's fucking crazy, dude. I can't imagine like what it's like out there. Somebody said sexist. Bruh. One caller appeared to be galvanized by the murders to report a previous incident, saying on Monday 21st that they wanted to report a suspicious male encountered more than a week before. You better watch out. While some calls could easily have been a false alarm, others suggest genuine incidents of harassment or threats. A caller on Wednesday, 16 November, said a man kept calling them and whispering in a low voice. A caller on Thanksgiving Day said a man had given their daughter a note on the back of a receipt while she was at work saying, you better watch out. Creepy. I just like, these people see each other all the time, right? I would think so. One person reported a man who came into their business and kept trying to get a young female employee to go outside with him, while another said they were followed home from work by an unknown person. In both cases, officers made contact with the suspicious person, but filed no reports. A number of 911 calls involved suspicious noises or unexplained phenomena, suggesting an understandable jumpiness among residents. RP, reporting person, keeps waking up to noises outside and would like an officer to check the area, said a call log from Saturday, November 19th. Officers responded, no report. Another 3 days later, RP is hearing noises above her and it's making her nervous. Officers responded, no report. Some reports mentioned hearing screams, including people screaming for help, while others said they had experienced people knocking on their doors or windows or ringing on their doorbells and then disappearing. There were several reports of suspicious vehicles, as well as people finding their doors mysteriously locked or unlocked. RP states she thinks that someone has been trying to enter her residence the past few nights. Would like to talk with an officer. Report taken. I guess nobody has cameras out there. I guess because they, up until this stuff has happened, because they hadn't had really like a serious, I guess they hadn't had a murder since what, 2015 they said? Nobody got cameras. A caller the previous day claimed that someone had knocked on their door and then walked away saying they have a big dog. Try a different house. Oh. An officer responded but did not file a report. I don't know what those cops are doing out there. Callers described the toll of media attention. In most cases, we cannot know whether a given report was influenced by a disturbing event of this month. Many similar reports were made in the days before the murders, only in a less number. Some reports, however, seem to be clearly referencing the killing, such as a woman who said she got a private message on Instagram from a stranger saying, "Be safe out there." RP would like to speak with an officer scared about recent events and wants to keep his kids home from school again today. said a report on Tuesday, November 15, 2 days after the murders. Caller requesting an officer to escort her daughter to her vehicle and home after she gets off of work at midnight. Said another at around 11 p.m. A lot of calls on this shit. Man, people just calling for everything, I guess. A caller on Tuesday, November 22nd, reported that a man was walking around taking down the posters that I heard about with the tip line information, probably referring to the tip line being used to submit reports about the students' deaths. They should look into that person too. Why are you doing that? Maybe it was just a disgruntled person. In other cases, the investigation itself and the intense national media interest has attracted where the source of residents' problems. RP's vehicle is blocked in by caution tape. RP stated she is unable to leave due to the caution tape and reporters blocking the exits. Another 2 days later, RP has concerns and questions about the media interfering with RP's life and daily activities. They don't want the media there. Become a nuisance. I think in a little bit we'll listen to this. Let's do Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace on Fox News. By the way, thank you guys so much for joining the live stream. I appreciate it. If you guys could hit like, subscribe, turn the bell notifications, check out the channel sponsor, Swag It. Click the link, download the app, follow me. It's a video app. You get swag bucks that you can convert into gift cards and yeah, that stuff. So definitely check out the app. And we're doing a giveaway at the end of the month, end of December, for $500. So Nancy.
As possible, and I think we've been very consistent, and we have said that we do not have a suspect and we do not have a person of interest at this time. We're trying to put all the pieces together, and when the time comes, we will most definitely put that information out.
Sibyl said no camera because the church or the town doesn't want them. Christchurch.
Out as quickly as we can.
It's been more than 2 weeks since the gruesome killing of 4 University of Idaho students, and authorities still, as you've just heard, have no suspect, no weapon, not even a person of interest. Fox Nation host Nancy Grace is following the case. She joins us right now. Nancy, it's frustrating because this is such a horrific crime, and people would like to feel like there's some motion going on. We're getting closer to catching the bad guy or bad guys. But it doesn't seem like they're giving us any information. But, you know, cops don't always reveal their hand because sometimes they keep stuff back to eventually catch the bad guy.
Well, we saw this play out in the Delphi double murders of Abby and Libby. Cops held back and are still holding back a lot of information, but ultimately got the local pharmacy tech. Same thing happening here. There's a lot swirling that the cops didn't know what they were doing. I don't agree with that. And if anybody does think that, let me remind everyone that the Idaho State Police and the FBI are also on the case. There has not been a homicide in this area since 2015. Another thing that has gone largely unmentioned, there was a huge football game that day in the stadium seating 16,000 people. They only live about a mile away, 2 blocks off of campus. Does that have anything to do with it? Probably not, but it's another needle in a haystack for cops to sift through. All the people flooding into that stadium. I believe the killer was within one of the victims' circle. I also believe the killer came in from the second floor. If you come in from one angle, you don't even see the bottom level.
You're right.
Through that sliding glass door.
You're absolutely right. And when we look at the exterior, you can see exactly what you're talking about. But Nancy, one of the details they came out with after the first week at a press conference was they said, yes, it was one of the roommates' phones that made the 911 call, but it wasn't the roommate who made the call. Why wouldn't they just reveal who that person is? Because I think that's one of the reasons that people feel like the cops are keeping things from us that would be an easy detail to give us.
The roommates' names have now been revealed. I believe that the roommate freaked out when they realized what had happened, called friends over first, and one of those friends used the phone to call. They've had a lot of access to those roommates.
And I've heard a lot of different variations of people's thoughts of what possibly happened. I mean, I feel like it's been everywhere on Reddit, what people thought as far as why they, called friends over first or whatever, and then whoever it was called 911 using the roommate's phone.
Roommates have been now exonerated. They're out. They're not
Yes.
even suspects at this point. But we do know this. We know that there was one perp, not two. We know that 3 other stabbings are not connected to this stabbing. We know that random animal skinning, not connected to this. It's somebody within one of these, I think one of the girls' orbit, one of their circle, not necessarily a boyfriend or a stalker. It could be somebody at the grocery store, a pizza delivery guy, somebody in one of their classes, somebody they know, but not necessarily intimately. They were not bound and gagged. We also know that there was no rape and that there was no theft. But I'm telling you right now, and I've worked several multiple victim murder scenes, they've got to go through all that blood, all that hair, all those fingerprints to determine if any of it was left by the killer. And another thing, this perp is most likely not a convicted felon because he's not popping up on APHIS or CODIS.
Now that thing right there is what a lot of people were talking about on the internet. I saw there was a Reddit post about it. I even saw an article from the Mia, whatever it's called, we're going to look at too. And she had stated, and people were wondering, I was wondering, did she just misspeak? Did she just, because I thought they were still processing this DNA forensics, whatever. And so she said that the perp is not popping up on CODIS or APHIS. And so CODIS, it's like this DNA system. It says here CODIS is an acronym for the Combined DNA Index System. So they're not popping up in the DNA system, and they're also not popping up for APHIS is automated fingerprint identification. So nothing she claims is popping up. And so a lot of people are saying, oh shit, which if this is accurate, let's say they did process things. If it's accurate, I guess it wouldn't be that surprising because maybe this person doesn't have a criminal history. But then you can go to the whole genial DNA, the whole ancestry and whatever else to see if maybe there's some familial ties. But this part right here is where everybody was kind of caught up on. We're going to take a look at this article too.
That's telling me a lot about multiple victim murder.
And the thing I also noticed too, where she said that we know it's only one perp, and I'm like, I didn't think that they confirmed that. I believe it's only one perp, but she said it with such certainty. I don't know if that came from somewhere.
Things. They've got to go through all that blood, all that hair, all those fingerprints to determine if any of it was left by the killer. And another thing, this perp is most likely not a convicted felon because he's not popping up on APHIS or CODIS. That's telling me a lot about who this is.
And so, Nancy, you say because they would not pop up on those databases, the way to find that particular.
See, to me, in the way he's responding, it's like she's saying it with like certainty or something. I don't know if she has some sort of inside information or she knows something we don't know. Maybe somebody told her something.
Killer would be with ancestral DNA. What is ancestral DNA?
Absolutely, like in Golden State Killer. When you don't have, like, if I find your fingerprint at a crime scene, but you've never given your fingerprint to the cops, I don't have anything to match it to.
Right.
So with DNA, you have to take that blood and go all the way back, rebuild a family tree like to great-great-great-great-grandparents, and come down to who, with that DNA connection, was in town at that time. That's how you do it, and it takes a lot of time. It takes days to even process a scene like this. I know. And another thing about not getting info from the cops, their duty is not to spoon feed us, the media.
Right.
Forget about it.
The neighborhood said, please get a source for that. The source is Nancy. I don't know where she's getting it from. They're not telling us her source. That's the only person I've heard say it.
Their duty is to solve this case, so everybody back off.
There you go. Well said. Good. Nancy, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So there was this article, because it's popping up, people are talking about it. I think Nancy's the only person that said this. We'll have to wait and see if there's any kind of confirmation. Idaho murders. Web sleuths believe DNA of suspect found as Nancy Grace says it's not coming up on CODIS. Snapping. An investigation into the University of Idaho murders continues. Eagle-eyed web sleuths believe the authorities have already obtained the DNA and fingerprints of the killer. Many spurious and wild conspiracy theories started doing the rounds on the internet after renowned journalist Nancy Grace appeared on Fox and Friends and stated that the perp is most likely not a convicted felon because he's not popping up on APHIS or CODIS. That's telling me a lot about who this is. She also revealed that the investigators are going to use genealogical DNA to get their hands on the suspect or suspects. Citing Grace's revelation, a Reddit user who goes by the username Blue Rose, did we miss something? Seems like she has inside information or knowledge that they do have the perp's DNA. I guess that would imply that. I don't know. I can't even read too much into it. We need to get more confirmations because it could imply either or. It could imply that they have some sort of DNA that they're searching is not popping up in the system, or just nobody's thing is matching to anything and popping up. I don't know. CODIS is for DNA, while APHIS is for fingerprints. If Nancy's correct, it could mean that they have the perp's DNA and prints as well. A second user backed the claim and wrote, maybe that's what Xana's dad meant when he said she fought back. He seemed to say it proudly, which is understandable. But maybe he was proud because she got DNA that could help find the killer. Of course, they have the DNA. I don't find it weird that it's not in the system. This guy is probably a college age or a little bit older. That's still pretty young in the terms of becoming a felon. Said the third user, while the fourth asserted, I feel like they have to, but unclear if the same DNA would already be in the house. Also, it's probably rare for college kids to have a felony record versus an older individual. So, I mean, it could be a whole bunch of things. There was one post here, too. I think Nancy's basically saying it's been 14 days. If I ran the DNA manually in my high school lab, it might take 5 days. Basically, she's saying that it's been long enough that they have the DNA and the perp is in the databases. It would have matched by now. If the perp is in the database, it would have matched by now. It is possible they haven't been able to isolate the DNA or the perp never committed a crime, but it's reasonable to think they have DNA and 2 weeks later he or she is in the database but isn't matched yet. So there's a whole bunch of talk about that. I don't know what you guys think in the chat. Some people love her, some people hate her. Nancy Grace, but it caught a lot of people's eyes. And so that's the whole DNA talk. Oh yeah, we got to watch this too. So I haven't watched this yet. This was I think last night sometime. Olivia spoke to Chris Cuomo on News Nation. For those that don't know, Chris Cuomo, I don't know if he was fired or what happened. I forgot what happened at CNN, but he's with News Nation. And he seems to be doing well over there. And so he spoke with Olivia.
Is that okay? Back with me tonight is Olivia Goncalves, the sister of one of the victims, Kaylee Goncalves.
I like Nancy too.
How you doing? How was Thanksgiving for the family? How you all holding up?
Yeah, I think that we're all doing the absolute best that we can. It's hard as we creep into, week 3 now. But Kaylee would be really proud. We cooked Thanksgiving dinner. She was really excited for Thanksgiving this year. So we did it for her and for Maddie.
Well, look, I'm glad you guys are leaning on each other. As we spoke the first time, you're going to have to do that because that's how you keep your sister alive in your own hearts. And, of course, the cause of justice here. How are you feeling about what the police are telling you about progress, especially in light of the fact that they have kids back on campus?
Yeah, I would say one piece of, progress that I was really happy to see is that they did officially update the timeline to reflect Kaylee and Maddie getting home at 1:56 a.m.
And we spoke about that the other day when I showed the official website that they actually updated the time on the website. And so I figured she was going to be happy about that.
I've been pushing that from the very beginning, and it was, a step in the right direction to see that that was taken seriously and that was verified on their end as well.
Why?
So, because I think for us, it's important that the families are being listened to. We have these kids' names, but I think it's important that law enforcement understands who they were as well. Because a name can only get you so much. It doesn't explain what they would have done, how they might have responded, conversations that they had had with their loved ones. I think that that's just as valuable in this case as any other piece of evidence.
One of the points of speculation is that Kaylee had an ex-boyfriend. Phone logs show she made 7 calls to the ex that night. The police say it's a non-issue. What's your take?
Yeah, I completely agree. I could not be any happier to see that they have cleared him. From the beginning, I knew that it wasn't him, and I'm happy that they're focusing.
And the thing with that, what I'll say to that, to at least to be, when that interview first came out with Inside Edition, which looked like it was chopped and clipped, the way that came out, it really did make it seem like she was surprised. Who's this Jack calling that called this amount of times? Like, kind of like almost, because she didn't say X. She might have said it in the full interview, but the way that video was clipped, which maybe it was done intentionally to add some sort of like mystery to it, or like get people talking more, it seemed like she didn't know who this guy was, or like she was questioning why would this happen. And so a lot of people were kind of wondering about that. But now it's like, you know, she says that this is normal. And she said this multiple times in multiple interviews of Kaylee. Normal to call
their
it.
attention somewhere else now.
The nagging question is, you know, in most homicides, when death is caused by somebody else, it's almost always somebody the person knew or had some kind of connection to. How does that haunt you, and what does that mean here?
Right. It's really difficult, especially because law enforcement is kind of throwing around this term targeted. But we don't know what that means. And it almost makes it feel alienating because we don't have any more information on that. I don't know who that target was. I don't know if it was all of them, if it was one of them. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
The 2 other roommates have been cleared. Are you okay with that?
I think that I hope that they are doing well. And I can only trust law enforcement has done their due diligence in all of the people that they've cleared thus far.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go.
So that was the recent interview with Olivia, sister. Like 14 minutes long. It's kind of long. Video for this.
They met working in the fertile fields of the Skagit Valley. Reese Gardner knew immediately Ethan Chapin was something special.
He was one of the few people that was just, there's nothing bad about him. He was just 100% pure, he was honest, just a great person.
The two worked the valley's tulip fields together, forming a tight bond, making Ethan's murder so difficult to comprehend.
It still is, yeah, you know, especially something like that could happen. It's an unbelievable thing that someone could do that.
Tulips are iconic across the Skagit Valley, a reminder that even on a frosty November morning, warmer days are ahead, filled with beauty. Andrew Miller was Ethan's boss on the farm.
Tulips are a huge part of what it means to be, to grow up and enjoy Skagit Valley. But our youth and our vibrancy, that's our #1 export. You know, we send that all over the world, and I think this is just a way that we can honor that every spring and remember Ethan.
He made everyone's lives just a little bit better, no matter what. And I just think something like that shouldn't be forgotten.
So in that spirit, they're planting thousands of tulip bulbs across Conway and Mount Vernon, making everyone's lives a little bit better. For Reese, it's therapeutic.
Knowing I can be helping out and doing something that will help his remembrance is definitely helping me get through this.
A living, loving reminder of a life taken away before it could fully bloom.
He'll always be here through the tulips.
Plans are also being made to plant tulips at both Mount Vernon High School and the University of Idaho. Live in Conway, Eric Wilson.
A nice clip. This is okay. We're not going to do this. I don't want to do anything really repetitive, so I can get to calls. But we can do this. This is John Webb. This is the reporter that was almost canceled.
But police say the death is not related to this murder investigation in any way.
Very hard to focus for the students back on campus at the University of Idaho. The investigation of the killing of 4 students yielding
That was
few
nice tribute,
clues.
right?
No suspects, no murder weapon. Today, Moscow police releasing another update. Not much new information, but they did rule out a couple more rumors. They say someone died this past February on Baker Street in Moscow due to an overdose, but police say the death is not related to this murder investigation in any way. There have also been online reports of a red Mustang on South Deacon Street being processed as part of the murder investigation. Again, police say this is not true. Still, a lot of questions remain surrounding the murders. No suspect identified. John Webb joining us live from the U of I campus, where he did speak directly with students about whether they feel safe returning to Moscow, to campus, and to class.
Good evening, Sean. As the snow coats Moscow with a sense of peace, students are returning to campus, some feeling good, others still on edge, as Moscow Police Department tries to locate and find a suspect.
We were all in shock. All 3 of my roommates and I were together at the time, and we were just all shocked when we got the vandal alert text.
Shock that continues to linger now 14 days into the investigation. Still no weapon or a suspect found.
Shock, sadness, fear.
All words Amy Pope, house mom and cook for Theta Chi fraternity, says describes this whole investigation. Yet she says she feels safe on campus.
It's Moscow. We have a sense of community and pride, and we take care of each other.
Pope says the extra security and patrolling also helps. The same goes for Micah Harden, a first year at U of I.
And like, you can't really go anywhere without seeing law enforcement. So it's like, it feels like almost more safe just because there's like more law enforcement around.
Idaho State Police has been patrolling the area as Moscow PD continues their investigation. With a suspect still on the loose, some students not returning to campus, Ashley Kirby, a senior, says she's been taking extra precautions.
I definitely feel a little bit nervous walking around campus by myself. I have an evening class that I go walk to in the dark and come home from in the dark.
Purpose probably watching this shit.
And I have my roommates take me to that now, and I also have some extra self-defense that I brought back to campus with me.
Kirby says she went to purchase bear spray today, but had a hard time finding it around town. With so much uncertainty on campus, one thing is certain to students. They say the U of I has stepped up to provide every resource necessary.
I went to class today, and a lot of my teachers were just like super flexible. Basically, like, if you need an extension, just ask and they'll set you up. Like, they want everyone to feel safe. They want everyone to feel comfortable.
I do think that most of my professors have been working with me on if I want to return to class or not, and I know that other people have had the same with their professors, helping them out if they don't want to return to campus.
And a vigil will be held in the administration lawn just right directly behind me.
Boy, on fleek,
At
reporter.
5 o'clock on Wednesday. I'll be here in Moscow for the foreseeable future as this case continues to develop. Reporting live in Moscow tonight, John Webb, Nonstop Local.
John, thank you. If you have any...
All right, let me see what else. I still got a bit. I'm going to skip a couple things. I did skip some stuff because I want to try to get the calls not too late into the stream. Let me get the super chats real quick. Sifa, thank you for the super chat, says this is why when big crimes happen, you should avoid putting yourself into the media because social media becomes a spotlight during investigations. Yeah, they start digging into everybody, man. Everybody's a suspect. Everybody's involved. Carmen, thank you for the super chat, says my thoughts are with the victims, family, and friends. Much love. Thank you, Carmen. Michelle, thank you for the super chat, says maybe somebody followed them back from the house party because it was so close by. Yeah, the party was like, wasn't it like a mile or 2 away, or 2 miles away, or how many miles away? It was pretty close by, I think. Sinner, thank you for the 9-month membership. This case is doing my head in. Hopefully the cops know more than it seems. Sheesh, I hope so too. Kathy, thank you for the super chat, says I'm so sick and tired of the load shedding in South Africa. What? Load shedding? No, bless you for your good work. Load shedding? What's going on over there? I know you guys, you have electricity problems right now, right? Load shedding, but what's that? Oh, that's part of the energy stuff. Yeah, it's getting worse over there, right? You guys have blackouts every couple hours. I don't know what's going on over there. I meant to put this together with the other stuff about the weird reports, but it says uptick in 911 calls in Moscow, Idaho include these from the last 5 days. Caller woke up and saw her front door wide open. Male at dog park asking strange questions. Note on the back of the receipt saying you better watch out, and report of males acting sketchy at the corner club. Sketchy. What are they doing over there? Males at the corner club. I also think, I kind of feel this is plausible. The whole incel thing. Idaho students, killer may be an incel who felt rejected. Psychiatrist. I don't think this is an actual video, but we'll read some of this article. 4 University of Idaho students may have been stabbed by an incel, short for involuntary celibate, who felt rejected by one of them, a forensic psychiatrist told the Newsweek. Just skip to where forensic psychiatrist Carol said that she is confident the slayings were not a random attack or the work of a serial killer. The multiple stabbings and bloody mess are signs that it was personal and that the killer was enraged. The 4 slain students were the epitome of good looks, success. Oh, sorry, the epitome, right? Epitome of good looks, success, and self-confidence, she said. At least that's the way it seemed to their classmates and others in town. So there would have been a lot of envy and jealousy towards them. It's possible. Some of those frat stuff too. I was kind of looking into some of those frat initiations and stuff. I don't know exactly what they do at this school, but there's been some weird stuff over the years that I've seen. Maybe it was somebody at school. Maybe it was somebody just in town that felt rejected or ignored or something. It says Lieberman said the killer could be someone who felt rejected by one of the victims, perhaps some would-be suitor of Kaylee and Madison, who felt the girls were out of their league, felt rejected, whether they had approached them or just looked on from afar. Indeed, the killer could have been an incel who saw Kaylee and Madison at Stacy's. As Stacy's. I never even heard of that. This is a name incels give to girls who they believe would look down on them and refuse to date or have sex with them. Wow, I didn't know it was that deep. I mean, I knew these guys, like, they have online communities and stuff where they all congregate and they talk about, I don't know, the general sense that I get is that, like, they feel upset with women, they don't approach women, they don't engage to have conversations, and they feel rejected by them, and either they're like a virgin for I don't know how many years, or they feel they can't, whatever it is. And they have these just online communities that they get really worked up. There was some guy recently that was stalking some woman. He got arrested. It was on social media. He like recorded himself. And so I didn't know these guys actually had a terminology for girls they felt they couldn't get with. Stacy's. The name incels give to girls who they believe would look down on them and refuse to date or have sex with them. Wow. I mean, at that point, just pay something, get it over with, and then move on or do something, you know? The incel community is an online subculture that promotes misogynistic idea that men are entitled to have sex with women. Some self-identifying males turn to internet forums to plot violent attacks against those who reject them romantically and use terms like Chad I've heard, or Stacy, as slang for those with more active romantic or sex lives. Incels can develop a lot of rage towards Stacy's as they play their imagined rejection over and over in their mind. John, a professor of criminal justice at the University of New Haven and former police chief in Branford, Connecticut, said that when police say a killing was targeted, it constitutes a broad range of possibilities. I think it would be safe to assume that we could eliminate, in this particular instance with college students, a murder for hire. The other type of targeting would be targeting because of jealousy, targeting because of romantic affiliation, targeting because of a hate crime or a bias crime. And then this is just the timeline stuff. I don't know. So I think the incel thing is probable. There was another one too that I wanted to show. Okay, here's Dad. Interview with
To
Dad.
the killings of those 4 University of Idaho
Kaylee's
students,
dad.
police now sifting through hundreds of tips, thousands of pieces of evidence. Our Kana Whitworth has been on this story for us. Spoke with the father now of one of the victims. Kana, good morning.
Hey, TJ, good morning. Kaylee Goncalves' father told me they moved to this region of Idaho because it was safe. There had not been a homicide in Moscow in 7 years. And now this morning he tells me the only thing worse than losing his daughter, her best friend, and 2 others is not knowing why or who is responsible.
This morning, students on edge at the University of Idaho as the search for the killer in that brutal quadruple homicide enters its 3rd week.
It is disconcerting that there's somebody out there who's done such a horrible thing and they haven't been caught.
The school posting this notice on social media Monday, writing increased security will be on site for the remainder of the semester. Steve Goncalves, the father of one of the victims, 21-year-old Kaylee, now shedding new light on what happened that night in his first sit-down interview.
It was fast, and nobody suffered and nobody felt like that kind of pain.
2 other roommates survived on the ground.
And I wonder how, I guess, how he knows that. Maybe they told him information.
Floor, waking up several hours later, calling friends over when their roommates were unresponsive.
That kind of pain.
2 other roommates survived on the ground floor, waking up several hours later, calling friends over when their roommates were unresponsive.
Do you know the reason why the initial concern was that a roommate was passed out?
I know the girls reached out via texting and calling, so I can only assume that by the phones being ignored, knowing how my daughter is not going to ignore calls and texting.
Officials maintain the murders happened.
I wish we could get the raw interview. I wonder if they've released that. It would be nice for them to. That's what news stations do. You know, they'll put the clips and stuff.
Between 3 and 4 a.m. and that the first 911 call was made around noon. Just hours later, Steve was informed of his daughter's death, not by police, but by family members on campus.
Let's call Maddie. And then you realize Maddie's gone too.
Madison Mogen was Kaylee's lifelong best friend. The pair seen together in their final hours of life, laughing and ordering late-night food before getting a ride home together in what Steve described as a sorority-designated driver service.
You can't imagine sending your girl to college and then they come back in an urn.
And now, the families of the victims growing frustrated by the lack of answers.
I haven't earned the ability to grieve the way that I want to grieve. I want to be able to have justice first.
Now, Steve says that he does plan to speak at the candlelight vigil tomorrow. He went on to say he doesn't want the city of Moscow to fall apart over this. And TJ, in a show of solidarity, that candlelight vigil will be held in various locations across this entire state.
All right, Kana, we thank you so much. And I want to bring in now ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett. The family's looking for answers, some details as they continue to trickle out, some of the new details we're hearing. What stands out to you?
So you have 4 people killed on 2 different floors of a house, which would certainly suggest, TJ, that somebody at least knew the basic layout of the house. Think about how long it would take to go from victim to victim, so somebody had patience. The police have described a combat-type knife. So the person apparently went there to really do what they ended up doing. So once you've eliminated, and I assume this has happened, sort of the immediate circle, college students that are around these kids, people that may have threatened one of them, stalked them, whatever. I'm not hearing anything that supports a killer in that group. So what do you have to do if there's not an immediate connection? You have to go to sort of a wider circle. You would look at, for example, maybe or maybe not somebody older. I only suggest that because this crime appears to be very focused and the person had a comfort level in the house. And so as a result, you start looking at sort of relationships that really aren't tight with these kids. See, somebody they met occasionally, somebody that may have come to the house to attend a party. Apparently this was a big party house. And so that makes it more difficult. Less connections makes it more difficult many times to solve a crime. And you're also going to have to look, and the police have already talked about this, of similar type crimes in other parts of the country, in particular in the Northwest, which they're saying initially there is no connection, and there may not be, but you're really going to have to look at this bigger circle that I'm suggesting.
A wider circle, somebody that knew the layout, some of those details, but what type of person, and somebody could argue, what kind of monster are they looking for?
So if somebody,
there's a lot of options, a lot of weird, crazy people.
Somebody that's done this before, I mean, TJ, people who do this kind of stuff get a big thrill out of doing it. Now, we don't know if it's that type of person, but it could be something like that.
Didn't see that.
The idea that you killed 4 people just tells me that this was sort of driven by something you intrinsically wanted to do, less so than maybe one student mad at another student.
You can only imagine the fear in that.
Okay, let me, I think I need a, oh God, this guy. Let me open up the line. I do have other videos, but I think we're kind of like, I think we can get to the phones because we're an hour in. I don't want to wait too long. I was talking to Sylvia yesterday, and we were talking about like, shit, maybe they don't even find this guy. You know, that's a horrible thing to think about, but maybe they don't even find this guy for a long time. Whoever it is, really, I should say. All right, let me connect here. Start show. Do some calls, man. You can, talk about any part of the story. I mean, I feel like I've heard a lot of different, thoughts and theories. And it's like, I don't know where else to go, really, until something new really develops. Let me call in right here. All right, hold on. Okay. Okay, so the phone number is 954-787-3009. And I do have a video after this live stream too that I'm going to premiere to you guys, which is pretty interesting. We can watch that together as well. I mean, there hasn't been that many people coming forward, I guess, really, besides the only people that have really spoken that I can think of is just like the family, which I think it's Kaylee's family. And then was that Ethan's family that had spoken up, I think? And then we got Jeremy with all the interviews from Jeremy. And then we got the guy at the food truck that had spoken up as well. 609 or food truck in the bar, Corner Club. 609, how you doing? Where are you calling from?
Good. I'm calling from Pennsylvania. My name's Victoria.
Hi. Victoria, welcome.
I just wanted to call. Did you see any reports or in any of the comments? I think I was watching another video on YouTube today, and someone had mentioned an Instagram post that referenced the 911 call. Apparently, one of the roommates had come out of the house after coming upon the scene, and there was some people, acquaintances that were walking by, saw one of the roommates, and apparently what it states is that the roommate passed out, whether it be from shock or whatever, before she was able to call the police. So the people that came upon her, acquaintances, people that she might go to school with, kind of called and said, this girl's here. They called from her phone, one of the roommates, saying this girl's here, she passed out. And at that point, the police went in and investigated, finding the bodies and everything like that. Did you see anything like that, about that?
I saw a post on Reddit, I think, about that. And I thought it was plausible. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did see that. That's one of the theories that, like, I don't know, maybe the roommate. I seen that floating around in a couple places that maybe the roommate had passed out or something, and then that's why the unconscious thing. But there's a lot of possibilities why they could have said unconscious. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting because it kind of, so many people are focused on like the call and who called
I know.
911 and why was it not the, why was it from the roommate's phone and not the roommate and stuff like that. So I just thought that was super plausible. It gave a really good explanation to why it would have been a call from the phone and not from her. So I just thought I would put it out there, kind of.
Thank you.
Who knows, maybe. Yeah. So, all right, that's
Thanks.
it.
Appreciate the call.
Appreciate it. I hope you have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
With that too, police, that thing too is like, there's a lot of plausible. That's one of the plausible ones. But like at the end of the day too, police have said the roommates are cleared and all the people at the time that the 911 call was made, they're cleared as well. And so, I mean, it's interesting to talk about it because it gives people are wanting to know what happened. How did that come about? But at the same time, if cops are saying, the roommates are ruled out, they even said that all the people that were at the house at the time when 911 was called, they're not involved. 318, how you doing? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mel, it's Terry.
Terry,
What you doing?
streaming. How you doing, man? How you been? I don't want to get
I'm
too.
good. I've been watching your.
You've been watching? What are your thoughts on all this? Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, I think this is more of a, I don't know why they came up with targeting or why they're using that word, because to me this looks like and feels like a Danny Rollins situation in Florida, or in Shreveport too, but in Florida when he killed those girls in Gainesville, and one boy actually in Gainesville. He was the Gainesville Ripper.
Mm.
And
people have talked about
I don't think it's anybody they know. I understand the circle argument, like they're maybe on the outskirts of one person's friendship circle.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what they're saying, but I don't think it's anybody they actually knew. And I don't think you can look at a crime scene that's brutal and say, "Oh, it must have been a rage. It must have been personal." I just don't think you can carry it like that. There's a lot of brutal killings that have nothing to do with anything personal.
Right.
And you can look at any serial killer, for instance. But yeah, I watched the Interview Room last night. Anyway, and Chris McDonough was walking all around the house. Did you see that?
I haven't watched it, but people have told me like he found a glove or something outside somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's a throwaway. That doesn't mean anything. But just walking around, I mean, in my opinion, but just walking around the house, it gives you a good perspective. And I mean, people could see right in there, and so I don't think it has to be someone they knew. I don't think it has to be personal. I think I agree with Nancy Grace. I think it was just this brutal, horrible killer that was maybe on the outskirts of one of the friendship circles and just went in there and did that. And I don't think the people of Moscow are safe yet. I mean, I think they need to. I understand that they've hired some security and such around campus, so that's good. But still, I mean, he could be like Rollins and hiding out in the woods in a tent. Who knows?
Right.
But I think picking on
you don't think it was like somebody they knew, even in their outer circle. You think it was like a completely random, like crime of opportunity type of thing, where somebody saw the opportunity, didn't know them, and just decided to target that house.
Oh no! I mean, I think they were picked out, but I don't think they were picked out because of who they were. I think they were picked out because they were in a certain situation that was opportunistic for the killer. I don't think they were targeted for years or whatever, or months by some incel. I don't think an incel could manage that.
Okay.
But I feel like it's somebody like a Danny Rollins or a Ted Bundy or somebody like that who did get some information first, like where they lived and followed them or whatever. But I don't think it's anybody they knew as friends or even knew as acquaintances.
Okay. All right. Well,
But
thanks.
that's just that's my
Do you think they're going to catch this person, or do you think they even have any idea who it is, or you think they're kind of chasing in the wind, hoping for something?
Well, I think Nancy spilled a little tea. They clearly have DNA and fingerprints, so
right.
So they could use familial genealogy, like you said, and do that. I think yes, somebody that's that out of control and that brutal is going to try this again and possibly get caught during a commission of a new crime or before then.
All right. Well, thanks. Appreciate the call. Thank you, Terry. I hope you're doing well. I know I need to catch up. I've been kind of crazy, but.
Oh, it's cool, man. We'll catch up someday.
Okay. All right. Well, nice talking to you.
Have a great stream.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that call. Real quick. New details confirmed to Court TV about the 911 call placed on November 13th. It was for an unresponsive female on the second floor. 2 victims were found on the second floor and 2 victims were found on the third floor.
911 call came in.
So the whole theory of somebody passed out outside and yada yada or on the first floor, but then they could spin it and be like, well, maybe the roommate went to the second floor and they passed out on the second floor, blah, blah, blah.
For an unresponsive female, an unresponsive person. And so when officers arrived, they addressed that issue, and then as well, 2 additional people were found. Two individuals were found on the second floor and 2 individuals were found on the third floor.
It's still kind of like...
911 call came in for an unresponsive female, an unresponsive person. And so when officers arrived, they addressed that issue, and then as well, 2 additional people were found. Two individuals were found on the second floor.
It seems like maybe somebody did pass out, though. It's kind of hard to say. Confirm the 911 call was placed on November 13th. It was for an unresponsive female on the second floor.
911 call came in for an unresponsive female, an unresponsive person. And so when officers arrived, they addressed that issue, and then as well, 2 additional people were found. Two individuals were found on the second floor and 2.
Well, she just put a clip of this. Let me get to the next calls and keep reading this. That's not exactly what he said. Yeah, it was for an unresponsive female on the second floor. He said it was for an unresponsive female, unresponsive person. So when the officers arrived, they addressed that issue. Then officer, yeah, it's still kind of, I don't know why can't they just answer the question? Why doesn't somebody just ask him directly and just, get the answer so we can all be over this crap? With this, let me take the next call. 315. Just why is there so much confusion over this? 315. How are you doing? Where are you calling from? 315. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hi. How you doing?
Hi. So this is the first time I've called in.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling.
I've been watching since the Gabby Petito case.
Amazing.
And I felt like I needed to point out that if it wasn't in a college town, okay, and it was just a bunch of young kids all roommating together, I feel like everybody wouldn't be looking so deeply into the college fraternities and, not necessarily kids their age. And I feel like it's such a large focus because it's in a college town, and I really feel like it does a disservice to, other suspects. There are adults, there are all different walks of life living within that town. And I feel like there's so much effort being, placed on the fraternities and the college and that sort of lifestyle that I just think that there isn't enough attention being placed on, I feel, probably middle-aged, 30s, 40s, married children. I just, and I don't think that, I think there was maybe one intended victim. And I also think that the suspect worked in that downtown area as an older adult, 30s, 40s, and was likely watching this lifestyle take place, the drinking in college and partying. I think they had a close, ability to watch this group of people on a regular basis. Made it very easy, not necessarily to stalk. I don't think it started out as stalking, but yeah. So I think that everyone's so focused on the college aspect of it, and if it wasn't in a college town, I think the conversation would go much differently.
Right. What do you think about the psychics? What do you think about that? The psychics.
I mean, the psychics are. I don't really know. I mean, it's it's like, what do you think about heaven? I don't know. You just don't know. I don't.
Right.
I try not to focus on that. Obviously, I've heard what's necessarily been said, but it's just not. It's not my cup of tea. But I don't hate it.
Okay. And what do you think about people stalking the ex-boyfriend? I guess the media, they're taking pictures of him. They're taking pictures of him walking the dog, and they're following him around and stuff. Any thoughts on that? Or
I think any action like that, like back to the Gabby Petito case, I just think it, I just imagine if it happened to me, I wouldn't want to be talking or giving any information that I know, or, even that Debbie Collier case, I followed that one a lot too. And I just think the way that, people trying to be involved in these, unsolved crimes get involved in the personal nature, I don't know. It makes it hard. It makes it hard for the families. I couldn't imagine being, someone's ex. It could happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. And I don't think people want to be in that position. If it were vice versa,
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate the call. And thank you for the first time call. Thank you for supporting the channel.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, take care.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, what do you guys think in the chat? They're checking on the dog. They're investigating the dog as well, the puppy, I guess. News media, they're spending hours tracking what Murphy's, walking habits are, and, where he's at, and, with Jack, and, where's he walking today? What park is he going to? And I mean, I don't know. But that they're looking into him too, the media, the paparazzi. All right, 801, let me take you. Thank you for holding. 801, how you doing? Where you're calling from?
Hey, Mel. I'm doing well. I'm calling from New York City.
Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Kind of a new topic, I guess. So I wish I could remember exactly where I saw this, but super early on, the morning after when we first got that news notification, it was one of the Facebook groups that popped up, and there were speculation. There were people saying, oh, it was a quadruple drug overdose. It was this, it was that. And somebody, it seemed like a local, and I wish I could find this page, but one of the locals said that there was a disagreement that escalated to a fight at a fraternity party, Sigma Chi, and that resultantly somebody brandished a knife later on. There were stabbings, but it originated from that party. And it's interesting, I think, simply because that piece of information came before all of this narrative emerged. So it may have been a total coincidence. It may have just been a lucky inference. But I just think it's a little interesting that that person was able to nail a couple of the details long before really the public knew any of it.
Was it a psychic?
So, was it a psychic? No.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just
information that was out. Okay.
Now that I'm kind of thinking about it, yeah, it was a mother of one of the fraternity brothers.
Ooh.
And it had since, I think it must have been deleted because I just cannot find it. But thinking back now, sort of with hindsight being 2020, and thinking of that post, I can't not shake the feel that because there's such a gap in this Ethan Xana timeline, and because the fraternity is being so tight-lipped about everything, that maybe these other two girls are kind of a misdirect, a red herring, because we seem to know everything about their timeline from moment to moment,
right.
But there's a huge gap on the other side of it. So anyway, I'm not a big believer of psychic visions. I think the only value that can come from a psychic is maybe providing a new way to think about a case. Say
Right.
something's gone cold. Okay, bring in a psychic. It's kind of like, shaking the magic 8 ball. It's like, let's just think of it a new way, but it's hard to really give too much value. Anyway, I wonder what you think about that, especially the fact that, this post came long before any of these details emerged. So it's like, how did this person know, other than being, directly related?
It was, and the whole thing was that, what was the premise? There was a fight or disagreement or something? Because I thought I heard some sort of rumor like that too, or something.
Okay, yeah. Just from what I recall, it was fight breaks out at Sigma-Chi, and
Right. I heard something like that.
And a police officer was even called to the house, perhaps.
Oh.
And then things basically were taken back to the private residence on King Road. And basically that, the fraternity brother, there was some kind of bruised ego. And I think maybe, but that, of course, it doesn't explain why 2 others were involved in this. If there's a 3rd floor, 2 girls residing there, why did they have to die as well if it was directed towards a couple? So maybe they knew who was over at the house and therefore they would be witnesses. I don't know. That's where it gets a little murky.
So
I think
that, and I got a message from somebody that was kind of looking at, like, talking about that same thing to that. And this, I'm just going to put this under rumors, but like supposedly, and I don't know if this is true, but like, supposedly the Jack S guy was like friends with all of them up until recently, and was in the fraternity definitely, and around the same time he stops interacting with all of them, and stops interacting with the fraternity on social media. Rumors, then the grub truck stuff happens, and like, I don't know, but I don't know if they're referring to that Jack S, but I had heard something about some sort of fight or disagreement at the fraternity. But I just don't know any details. Like, I haven't seen any screenshots. I've just heard like rummaging about it. And so, and I was talking with my friend Sylvia yesterday too. We were kind of looking into all this weird stuff with just in general with fraternities, like hazing and things that goes on. Just kind of like to learn about the environment and the culture and stuff like that. And so we were thinking it could be something like that too. We were kind of talking about that, or maybe some sort of incel or somebody that's kind of incel, but it's also at the school or something. And I don't know. There's a bunch of things we're looking at. It's possible. Anything's possible, I guess.
So, anyway, my takeaway is I would just be extremely interested to see what more information comes from that second story. Because I think, this will be my final point. I know you got a lot of calls, but, there's a lot of talk about this blood seepage coming out from the foundation of the home. And I just think, based on the layout of the house, I'd probably established this, but that blood seepage comes from the second bedroom on that sort of middle floor where they would have been. So potentially, being targeted like that and having that amount of blood come from the body, I don't know. Things to think about.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate your comment and some of your insight. And I'm kind of curious about that too, as far as fraternity or what happened. And the blood thing, there was somebody on the internet that said that maybe it was oil, but no, everybody else is saying it is actually blood.
Oh.
And I guess it actually really is blood. I guess it must have seeped from the top, or I don't know how that would work. So.
No, they wouldn't run gas outside like that.
And it's an electric home too, supposedly.
Top of the pipe.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, thanks, man.
Blood. Anyway, of course.
Thank you. Take care, man. All right. Nice call. We got 2 more callers. So 407, how you doing? Where you calling from?
Hi, are you talking to me?
Yes. How you doing?
Hi, you. How are you? I want to congratulate you on your success.
Thank you.
I want you to know that I grew up about a mile from where you are. However, I do kind of want to challenge you a little bit about your minimizing the 911 Reddit post.
Okay.
And if you will indulge me, can I give 90 seconds and tell your viewers to see? Because I found it very compelling.
Okay.
I found that it explained a lot of the mystery about the 911 call. Is it okay if I go?
Go ahead. Tell me.
Okay. Here's what I got from it. First, you all need to know that this is from an eyewitness that morning outside the house. Okay? The two survivors evidently woke up and they wanted to go to the kitchen. So they're going up to their kitchen. They notice that the sliding door is open, it's cold in there, and then they see Ethan. They freak. They run out of the house. One of them faints. The other one is obviously, understandably, out of her mind. A passerby apparently approaches the two girls trying to offer some help. Okay, and that is why the 911 call ended up on her phone, but from another person. That dude could not understand at all what is going on either. Okay, they are hysterical. Other people start to kind of show up. So what is then going on is some people are going into the house. Nobody is thinking that this is a crime scene. The bottom line, y'all, is everybody's contaminating the kitchen floor crime scene. Okay? So that is the reason why law enforcement does not want to release the 911, because they do not want us all to know that the kitchen floor where Ethan and Xana were found is completely destroyed. People are going in and out and running. Nobody knows it's a crime scene. The paramedics do not know it's a crime scene. They arrive thinking they're coming for an unconscious dude. So they're coming in. Nobody's doing any crime scene stuff. The floor is that floor is screwed, you guys. Another couple.
What do you mean by screwed?
I feel so sorry.
What do you mean by screwed? The floor.
No, the crime scene on the second floor where Ethan and Xana were killed is destroyed.
Okay.
There are people running in and out. Paramedics are running in and out. I mean, nobody knew it was like a murder. Okay, people were trying to go in there because there is a dead body with blood all over him. They're trying to figure out what's going on, but they're not protecting the crime scene. People are going in and out. And the reason why law enforcement is not going to release the 911 call is because they do not want all of us to know that floor is destroyed. And then another thing that hit me was, basically, you can try to find cause of death by liver temperature. That is going to be totally screwed, you guys. He was lying there, It was 28 degrees in sleeping clothes, drenched. How are they going to find time of death? But I just wanted to do you with it. To me, this story is so poignant, and you guys need to find the post. It was beautifully.
I can't find it for some reason. I know the post you're talking about. It was like a long post, so I need to reread it. But
I will send it to you.
Okay, please.
I will send it to
Can
you.
email it to me?
Can I put in the subject though? This is me.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you get 8,000 emails a day.
The only thing with that.
What do I need to put in your email to send you the post? The post is riveting.
If you can send it to
It is
iCkEdMeL.
beautifully written.
iCkEdMeL@gmail.com.
Okay, I send it to you. What do I put in the subject line so you know it is this post? The post is incredible.
Just type in Reddit. You could put in a Reddit post for the subject. Reddit
Okay.
post.
Again, I want to congratulate you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you're great.
Thank you.
Everybody else, it's a beautiful understanding of why the 911 call happened, in my opinion. I would love to see you all in the comments what you all here think about what I just told you they wrote.
Thank
Be
you.
good, Mel.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So I appreciate the call. And there's 3 other people holding that. If he sends me the post, and we get through the calls, I'll read it. The only thing with that post, I never read the entire thing. I read some of it, parts of it. And the post was based off, there was no screenshots. It was like a story from somebody had left a comment, I think, on one of the victims' posts or something like that. And supposedly one of the people that were there on scene had told the story. And that's the story they gave. But there was no screenshots. There's nothing like that. The reason why I say we have to be careful sometimes, the story is plausible. The reason I sometimes urge caution, because if you guys don't remember, or you do remember, I'll show you this example real quick, and then we'll get the next caller. 908, you're next. There was this person with the same roommate's name that commented saying something about that, we heard Xana and Ethan come home first and talk to them. They were both drunk, and that's when we went to bed. We live on the 3rd floor. That's before the information came out about the floor. So this person's like, we live on the 3rd floor. No, the correct information is that they're on the 1st floor. We always lock our doors to prevent people from stumbling in our rooms. We're used to noise because it's a party house. We were up late that night and didn't want to come downstairs until noon when the cops came to investigate. We came downstairs, which is just still, all this is like inaccurate, and we saw the bodies bound and gagged, which this is another rumor that's been dispelled, bound and gagged. And blood everywhere, so much blah, 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 blah. So when this first came out, we were looking at this and we're like, and I even said the name matches, but because I can't click the profile, anybody can make a profile with the same name. Anybody can go on YouTube and make I think they can still do it. Type in iCkEdMeL and make a username iCkEdMeL. So you have to click and actually verify and go. Just because somebody pops up with the same name doesn't mean it's actually that person. And so this reporter here this FB post was fake. Police confirmed the bound and gag rumor was untrue. I also have mutual friends of hers that confirm that this post not on her page. It's important that false information be debunked. And it kind of goes on and forth, back and forth multiple times. People kind of like arguing about it. But, so that's what I'm saying. Like when I saw that, this is a completely different situation from the 911 thing. But that's what I'm saying. I read this stuff and I was like, oh, it's plausible. I didn't, is that really what happened? I don't know. It could provide an answer. And maybe I should read the post and we can decide from there. Let me get these 3 callers. We can give it a fair shot. 908, how you doing? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mel. It's George from Jersey.
Hi. How you doing, George? Welcome.
Good, man. I'm just, I'll be quick. I was just thinking maybe like a tradesman, maybe a plumber or maintenance guy that's been in the house before. Like, I don't know if the school owns that house or a private owner. If the school owns it.
I don't know who owns it. That's a good question, yeah.
Like, if the school owns it, it's probably empty in the summer and they paint and do maintenance and stuff. So it could be, some worker that's been in that house before,
Right. People have talked about that. I saw people were looking at some sort of ladder outside of the house or something on Reddit, and they were thinking maybe somebody worked on a house or, I don't know, something like possibility like that, or even somebody that's delivered food or somebody just in passing,
Yeah, there was, my hometown, there's this guy that his dad had like a maintenance company down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked on like senior citizen housing and stuff, and this dude turned out to be a serial killer. He was like, he didn't own the company, his dad did, but he was like killing people, the houses he would go to, so it could be something like that. You call a plumber and they always got like another guy with them. It could be, something like that knows the layout on the house.
Yeah, that's true. Very possible. Yeah, it might not be somebody that interconnected, like that knew them really well. It could be someone that just kind of in passing had encountered them or been watching them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I had, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the call.
All right, have a good one.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Okay, 2 more calls. I'm going to see if that guy emails me or not. And by the way, I do have that video to show you guys, which is really interesting too, right at the end of this. So let me get these 2 calls. 870, how you doing? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you
Hi.
so much for taking my call. I'm calling from Arkansas.
Arkansas, amazing. I said amazing, Arkansas. How you doing? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Okay, so a couple of things I just wanted to bring up. You had mentioned. Can you hear me if I put it on speakerphone? Let's take a look.
Okay, try.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Two things I wanted to bring up for you to take a look at. One, you had played earlier where Kaylee's sister was talking about that she was really relieved that they, definitely cleared the ex-boyfriend. But I wanted to point out, did you see the stark difference in how she responded to that? And then when he said, what about the roommate? She said something to the effect of, like, she stumbled and, like, just basically said, I'm trusting the police. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I was really trying to catch up. I caught the live late, so I was trying to catch up. The next thing is that, so I was watching, I think you had it up there, but something I wanted to point out that I just found so wild is when the dad was talking, I think you played a little bit of it earlier. He said something to the effect of, to defund the police is just a terrible idea. The fact that they're finding out that there's more than just my daughter and these children who have suffered. Like, what does that mean?
I'm not sure exactly what he meant by that. Yeah. I know exactly. I remember what you're talking about when he mentioned that, but when he said that part there, I wasn't sure.
I'm looking literally at the screenshot, and it says, it's just a terrible idea to find out, it's just a terrible idea, the fact that we're finding out that there's more than just my daughter and these children that have suffered. So that's another thing I just wanted to kind of throw out there. And then you had mentioned, y'all talked a little bit about the frat.
Yeah.
I know you had kind of mentioned there was a call made to the police that night, and I know that that's kind of typical, it's college, it's a frat. But on News Nation, the title is Idaho Murder Mystery, News Nation's Brian Entin answers. And the timestamp is 2:13. And the lady asked this guy that's standing in front of their home, like, what was this call about? And neither of them have any clue. I just think that it's kind of odd that the night of the murder, the frat, this call was made to the police, yet it was kind of like kept under wraps, just like Xana's mom getting arrested. That kind of didn't come out for a little bit. I think those two things are odd. And then last but not least is Duty Ron goes through and shows the Idaho University students' new photo live with Ed Wallace and Duty Ron from yesterday. And they're two New York City detectives or retired detectives, but they go through and literally zoom in and show that for sure that it's blood. And they talk about what state it's in and all of that. They bring up that a lady named Dawn found a photo of two of the girls standing in front of that very same foundation, I think October 17th or later. You guys can go and watch the video of them standing in front of that foundation. And so it's definitely not there. And that's where they zoom in and talk about what state the blood is in. I just wanted to kind of throw all that out there. Do you mind if I share my theory real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so my crazy theory is that this had something to do with drugs. I'm not sure about Xana's mom with the drug charges, then the frat, recently getting out of the frat. The cops were called on the frat. The taxi driver says that's a known location for drugs. Part of me wonders if, like Xana's mom, I hope that it's nobody that loved these girls and they thought loved them back. But if it were, what if Xana's mom was selling to the frat, and with them leaving the frat, and then maybe Kaylee knew, and then the stalker, maybe that was the person. I don't know. It's just all around drugs. And part of me wonders if it was, I don't think it was the boyfriend at all now. I think that it was someone that they knew through Ethan, and it was drug related. That's my theory. I find it odd that they kept the call to the frat and the mom's drug charges really quiet. Like, it's kind of hard to find. And so that's odd to me right here around all of this. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Let me ask you a quick question.
On, man. And I appreciate Appreciate all you guys.
All right, can you hear me?
Okay.
Well, quick question. Yeah.
I can.
What have you heard about this drug charge stuff? I still haven't even looked into it.
Okay, so I can pull up some screenshots if I've still got them. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Get back. Give me just a second. I should have like a whole folder for this stuff. Okay.
I was just wondering in general because people keep talking about it and talking about it, but
Right. So something that I'm looking at, and I would have to go through and see what I pulled it from. It says it's given like her background. She had 2013. She had driving on suspended.
Let's just
open
talk about
containers. So just showing her background.
Yeah. What's the recent thing that everybody's talking about?
Okay. Well, just real quick, as early as April 5th, 2022, she had public criminal something fugitive warrant. And then these are the charges. Xana Kernodle, date 11/20. Excuse me, my voice is so hoarse. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, and this is from, I guess, from the Kootenai County Sheriff's Department in Kootenai Street, Lagerville. And it says possession of controlled substance 1.2 drugs. Then it says warrant of detention. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Possession of controlled substance 1.2 drugs. And then
okay.
I do see something. This is pulled from, I think I've got it right, from meaww.com, and it's talking about an interview with the dad shortly after. It may be attached to these charges I just read to you. Let me grab a drink real quick.
Well, I have to kind of let you go though, because I have another person. But if you want to, email it to me sometime, and I'll take a look.
Okay. I'll make it super quick. It just mentions that she goes by a different name on social media, at KINOM.
Let's leave it alone for now. I don't want to put all our social media out there.
Thank you so much.
But if you email me sometime, I'll take a look.
Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you got it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
All right, let me get this last one here. Last person. 916. How you doing? Where are you calling from?
Miami, Florida.
Oh.
I think I called the last time. Yeah.
Welcome. Close by. Really close by.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of want to give like my opinion about like certain situations, but because I know how like you don't like to accuse and like you're cool about it, but like I don't know if it's okay if I have my opinion about the neighbor guy. Is that cool or? Tell me. Oh, Jeremy? Like I'm not gonna accuse him. Like I'm not gonna accuse him of anything, but just like my opinion. Like, is that cool or?
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell me what's wrong.
Yeah. All right. So like when I was watching like his interview, like at first I was like, oh, he's just like, some random guy, because, some people are, like, awkward and whatever, and I get it, because, like, some people who are, like, shy and socially awkward, they act like that, but I don't know, it's just, like, he kind of reminded me of, like, some lawyer woman from years ago where, like, the neighbor, like, killed her, the guy that has, like Chucky hair, like, the bushy, like, the big curly hair.
Stephen McDaniel?
Yeah. So he kind of like gave me like Chucky vibes, I was like, what the heck, So like, I don't know if like maybe like I don't know, like maybe he had like an obsession with Kaylee or something. But if he had nothing to do with it, then he's just like a shy guy and like he doesn't deserve to like be accused of anything. But but I don't know. He just gave me like that dude from like the other case from years ago where like the guy, he like dismembered the woman. I don't know if you remember that.
Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah, where like the lawyer woman, like he had like video recordings of her and like he would steal her like her bras and so he just kind of reminded me of that situation, so.
Yeah. But do you have any other people you believe, or you just your thing is like with the neighbor?
Or I don't know, or maybe it's just like a serial killer, you know, like maybe somebody that likes to collect organs, or I mean, I don't know. There's just like some weird people that, you know, do stuff, but I don't know. But you know, I hope those girls get justice and Ethan, you know, because they didn't deserve it, you know, like they were all like cool people, like they had like a beautiful soul, beautiful spirit, and they just seemed like they were just like good people, like humbled, nice, and you know, they need justice because that's kind of messed up for like somebody to like go to college and then for somebody to just kill them. Like, I don't know, that's just weird. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the call and your theory. Support on the channel.
All right.
All right. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye.
That's from Miami, guys. Okay. Let me get the super chats, and I want to show you that video too. We're gonna move you over to that video. Let me just get this real quick. Jennifer, thank you for the super chat earlier. Says, appreciate you. Thank you for all you do. I'm really leaning toward drug related at this point. Katrina, thank you so much for the stars. Thanks for keeping us informed. Taylor, thank you for the super chat. Taylor, again, thank you for the super chat. Says, Kaylee's dad debunked this. The roommates tried texting Kaylee and Maddie with no response. Thank you. Tracy, a little off topic. I commented on the replay yesterday to see if anyone else heard a scream between 24:22 and 24:28. Was it on a clip? Was it on the clip? The guy was in front of 1122 house or something at your house. Maybe it's just me. So what replay from yesterday? You guys want to look? What is it? Night 24. Sometimes people, bro, there was one time people got so pissed off. I did a video because sometimes they hear something in the background or they see something and they think it's like, they don't know if it's part of the video or it's like a ghost or something or a spirit. And one time I had flashed an image. I forgot what video I was doing. And I flashed an image of like, it was like a funny thing of like, it was like I don't know. It was like it was like a Satan's book or something. It was like a funny kid's Satan child book or whatever. And some people started seeing that. It was like a second, just a flash of a second. And I started getting emails. Oh my God, did you see that? And they thought, did you put that in there or did like something else? But I just did it to troll. I didn't do that with yesterday's live though, but I did that a long time ago. People got really upset about that. I thought it was kind of funny. Yesterday's live. But sometimes too, you guys might hear something. If I open up other tabs on a different screen, sometimes the video will start playing or audio. And so you might hear something in the background and it's really nothing. I'm thinking about yesterday's video, 24 minutes in. Let me see, 24 minutes. Something in the house. Let me see, 24:22. Let's see. $24.22.
To share about that timeline.
That's creepy. I don't know what that is. That's not me though.
That timeline.
I've heard a little bit of feedback on this that people are nervous about the
I don't know what that is. Now the conspiracy people are gonna come for me. Got somebody trapped and locked up.
I've heard.
I wonder if it was in his background.
People in that direction where they would feel willing to share about that timeline.
It's just weird. I wonder, is it on the father's? Let me look up the regular interview. Kaylee's father Fox interview. Let me see. I think this is it. The mystery.
country on location in Moscow, Idaho. Tonight, we remember 2 weeks in that hometown that I want to question again to sir, thank you so much for joining me tonight. We continue to grieve with you and your family, and we're hoping to get answers for you. Sir, when was the last time you talked with law enforcement about the case?
Well, we just had a vacation. Law enforcement told me that they were going to drop off a little bit and not to expect the same type of communication that I had gotten before. They passed it on to another person. So basically, long story short, it was Wednesday, 5 p.m. was the last time that they reached out to me. So, yeah, that's rough.
Sir, what are they telling you?
They're kind of just telling me that they can't tell me much, which is frustrating to me because I've been very trustworthy. I do know things. I haven't shared things. We're the same family that.
Oh, it's in the original video. So I don't know what's going on over there. Because so this person, well, thank you for the super chat. I know we kind of veered off, but it's funny. You'd be surprised the things that people pay attention to and they notice in your video and background. So I isolated it and separated it so we just listened to the original upload without any of my audio playing in the background besides me talking right now. And so the original audio from the news clip is somebody kind of like, it could be a kid in the background or something like that. But you can hear it here on the Fox.
About that timeline.
Bruh. So the Reddit people are going to go in on that. But Tracy, I hope you're still watching. That clears it up. It's it's on the original video. But yo, if had this been like a couple months back, these people would have been like, "Oh, you see, iCkEdMeL, blah blah blah." Desiree Nieves, y'all don't hear the kids screaming? Question mark. What's going on? Give these people content. Jeff, it's been a 3-month membership. Thank you so much. I've never been mad at calls before this. Love you though. All right, so I'm gonna take you guys over. So the new video that I'm gonna show you guys, I think is pretty interesting. You might have seen this, you might have not. I'm gonna set it as a premiere. And if you guys can also make sure you check out the sponsor, Swag It. We're doing another $500 giveaway at the end of December. Oh, hold on. Damn it. The video is the guy from, let me do this set as premiere. The guy that was standing by the food truck did a couple of TikTok videos today, and he spoke up about all the shit that's been going on and the accusations. And he also talked about Kaylee and Madison and that they were drunk. And he even explained the whole thing where he talks about ew. He said, yeah, I did say ew, because like he said that they were like really drunk and bumped into him and all kinds of stuff. So this video here on my channel is about to premiere now. I'm going to move you guys over there. I'm going to drop the link in the channel in case it doesn't move you there. But it's about 20 minutes long. So if you guys could go check out that video, hit like. I'm going to move you guys over there. The eel guy. Yeah. He explained a lot of things. It was really interesting. So go and check that out. I'll be right there in the chat with you guys. Love you. Thank you so much for the support. And also, there's a lot of stuff going on. Tomorrow morning is the Jared Lysick thing. So I'm going to be watching. I don't know if I'm going to watch on Discord or not, because I want to take notes. We could watch it on Discord, but I don't want people like over talking the video because I need to take notes and stuff. But Jared Lysick is tomorrow morning, I think at 10:30 in the morning. Also, Michael Vaughn's thing is happening Thursday. We're going to do that on Thursday. And